The lights die. Your expensive lantern is cracked. The batteries you stockpiled are corroded dead. But down the street, on a shelf you've walked past 100 times, a $1 pack of flameless tea lights and a roll of aluminum foil are sitting in the dark, waiting to save your life. Dollar Tree is not a junk store. It's a blackout survival cache hiding in plain sight, disguised as party supplies and cleaning junk. Most people walk right past it, convinced safety costs $100. Subscribe so you never miss this. Stay for number 8. The one item in the cleaning aisle that becomes your most vital piece of sanitation when the toilets stop flushing. Item 1. LED tea lights. Flameless candles. Aisle 3, the candles section. Walk past the wax pillars and the scented jars. Find the tiny plastic tea lights with the LED bulbs inside. A pack of 4 costs $1.25. Each one runs on a button battery for 2 to 3 days of continuous light. These are not romantic ambiance. They are the safest blackout light source in existence. No open flame, no melted wax spilling onto carpet, no house fire from a tipped candle. A toddler can knock one over, and the only consequence is a dark corner. Place them in every room. Tape them to door frames. Float them in a bowl of water for a diffuse glow that lights an entire room well enough to see faces and avoid tripping hazards. Most people will drop $40 on a tactical lantern with an LED array and a rechargeable battery that self-discharges in 6 months. You will scatter 20 of these across your home for less than the cost of a single camping lantern. When the blackout stretches from hours into days, the tea lights become your ambient sanity. Light without heat is not a compromise. It is the difference between sleeping safely and waking up to curtains on fire. Item 2. The long neck barbecue lighter. Walk to the kitchen gadget aisle. The long neck barbecue lighter hanging on a peg. 2 for $1.25. The plastic is cheap. The flint is generic. But the reach is 6 inches of metal wand that puts fire exactly where your fingers cannot go. Into a dark gas stove when the pilot light is dead. Into a camping lantern. Into a fireplace stuffed with crumpled paper, into a pile of tinder when the matches are soaked and your hands are shaking from cold. A short lighter forces your knuckles into the flame zone and burns through fuel in a few dozen strikes. The long neck gives leverage, precision, and reservoir capacity. Most people buy a pack of disposable short lighters and call it done. You will buy the long neck refillable version and a can of butane. Together they cost less than $4. The lighter is not just a fire starter. It is a reach extender that lets you ignite a gas stove without singeing your eyebrows when the room is pitch black. Fire in a blackout is survival currency. The long neck lighter is your mint. Item 3. Pool noodles. The gray foam multi-tool. The seasonal aisle, a bin of pool noodles in garish colors, $1.25 for 6 feet of closed-cell polyethylene foam. This is not a child's flotation toy. This is a structural insulator that does not absorb water, does not rot, and cuts with a kitchen knife. Slice it lengthwise and wrap it around exposed water pipes near exterior walls. In a blackout with no heat, those pipes freeze and burst. The noodle prevents that. Slice it and slide it under a door as a draft stopper. Cut rings and use them as cushioning for flashlights, radios, or glass jars. In a pinch, a segment of pool noodle becomes a knee pad while you work on a generator in the dark. A splint core for a wrapped injury. A flotation bobber for a water-fetching line. Most people see a pool toy. You will see a 6-foot insulation blanket that costs under $2. The pool noodle is the most overlooked winterization tool in the discount aisle. Buy them now when they are in season or clearance. The foam does not expire. The utility multiplies the moment the heater dies. Item 4. Clear plastic tablecloths. Heavy vinyl, aisle 5. The party supplies, the clear plastic tablecloths rolled up in flat packs, $1.25 each. This is not a picnic accessory. This is a heavy gauge vapor barrier that becomes an instant window insulator the moment the heat dies. Tape one over a drafty window and you create a trapped dead air space between the plastic and the glass. The cold stays outside, the meager warmth of your body heat, and a single candle stays inside. In a blackout during a winter storm, a single sheet of plastic tablecloth across a broken window or a leaky frame prevents hypothermia faster than any blanket. Beyond windows, it becomes a makeshift poncho when you must step outside into freezing rain, a moisture barrier laid on the floor beneath your sleeping area. A condensation trap hung at an angle to collect evaporating water into a cup. Most people will buy expensive window insulation kits with double-sided tape and shrink film. You will spend $1.25 for the same physics in a plastic sheet. Clear vinyl is not disposable. It is reusable, cleanable, and it buys you precious degrees when the furnace is a memory. Item 5. Superglue. Cyanoacrylate tubes, aisle 6. The hardware and adhesives pegboard. A multi-pack of tiny superglue tubes. 4, 6, sometimes 8 to a pack. $1.25. Each tube is a single-use medical wound closure, a gear repair, and a crack sealant waiting to happen. In a blackout, a deep cut from fumbling in the dark becomes a surgical emergency with no hospital. Clean the wound, pinch the edges together, and daub a thin bead of cyanoacrylate directly onto the seam, not inside the wound, on the closed surface. Hold 60 seconds. The wound is sealed. This is the same chemical compound issued in field surgical kits during Vietnam, repackaged for $1.25. Beyond medical use, a dot of superglue reattaches a broken flashlight clip, seals a cracked water container, and bonds a splint to a broken tool handle. Most people think superglue is for arts and crafts. You will stock a dozen tubes in your Blackout medical kit and know that each one is a suture line that requires no needle, no thread, and no light to apply by feel. The tube weighs nothing. The capability is surgical. Item 6. Steel wool and 9-volt batteries. Aisle 7. The cleaning supplies, a pack of fine-grade steel wool. $1.25. Aisle 2. The battery rack, a pack of 9-volt batteries. Also $1.25. Together, they are the most foolproof fire starter in the store. Pull a thin strand of steel wool from the pad. Touch the strand to both terminals of the 9-volt battery simultaneously. The thin steel resists the current flow. It heats instantly, glowing orange and then bursting into a shower of sparks that will ignite dry tinder, cotton balls, paper, or frayed rope in under a second. No flint to wear out. No butane to leak. No matches to get wet. The steel wool burns even in high wind, because the reaction creates its own heat and oxygen does not blow it out. Most people will carry a ferro rod they never practiced with and fail to start a fire when their hands are frozen. You will store a 9-volt battery with the cap on, a pad of steel wool in a dry bag, and know that together they produce a guaranteed flame in any weather, at any altitude, with zero skill. The steel wool and battery are not cleaning supplies. They are the ignition source that replaces 1,000 matches for less than $3. Item 7. Aluminum foil, aisle 4, the food wrap section. A 25-foot roll of heavy-duty aluminum foil, $1.25. This is not for leftovers. This is a radiant heat reflector that multiplies the warmth of a single candle or a small heater. Tape a sheet of foil behind a tea light or a candle, shiny side out. The foil bounces infrared heat back into the room instead of letting it soak uselessly into the wall. Tape foil over a south-facing window during the day to reflect solar heat inside, then reverse it at night to trap body heat. In a pinch, smooth foil over a piece of cardboard and you have a signal mirror that flashes visible for miles. Crumple a sheet into a ball, flatten it back out, and scrub the rust off a tool or a battery terminal. Wrap a small radio or a backup hard drive in 2 layers of foil for crude electromagnetic shielding. Most people use foil to cover a casserole dish. You will tape it to walls, windows, and survival gear and turn a $1 roll into a thermal multiplier. The foil is not a kitchen supply. It is a low-tech radiant barrier that bends the physics of heat in your favor when the furnace is silent. Item 8. Plastic storage bins. Shoebox size. Aisle 8. The organization section. A stack of plastic shoebox-sized storage bins with snap-on lids. $1.25 each. In normal life, they hold craft supplies. In a blackout where the toilets don't flush and the sinks don't drain, they become your sanitation infrastructure. Line one bin with a double layer of heavy-duty trash bags and snap the lid on when not in use. That is a sealed emergency toilet that contains odor, prevents disease, and preserves human dignity when the sewer system is a stagnant memory. A second bin becomes a wash basin for hands and face, conserving precious water by containing splashes. A third bin, filled with clean water and a few drops of bleach, becomes a dish sanitizing station. Stack them, and they organize your medical supplies, batteries, and candles into grab-and-go modules. Most people will improvise sanitation with a bucket and a garbage bag and spill it in the dark. You will have purpose-built sealed containers that cost less than $2 each. The plastic bin is not a storage solution. It is a waste containment system that prevents cholera, dysentery, and the psychological collapse that comes from living in filth. Here is the reality that the camping store and the tactical outlet will never print on a price tag. The Blackout doesn't need a generator. It doesn't need a $300 lantern. It needs a scatter of LED tea lights that won't burn your house down, a long neck lighter that reaches where matches can't, a pool noodle insulating your pipes, a plastic tablecloth trapping body heat against a frozen window, a tube of superglue closing a wound in the dark, a strand of steel wool and a 9-volt battery birthing a flame in the wind, a sheet of aluminum foil bending radiant heat back toward your skin, and a plastic shoebox bin sealing away human waste before it breeds disease. Dollar Tree is not a junk store. It's a blackout survival cache hiding behind a $1.25 sticker, waiting for someone who sees the physics, not the packaging. Most people will walk past every single one of these items and spend $100 on gear that fails. You will walk in with $10 and walk out with a life support system that weighs nothing and requires no electricity. Survival does not reward the expensive, it rewards the observant. The cheap foam, the foil, the tea lights are not disposable. They are the analog backstop that holds when the grid collapses. Now, drop a comment and tell me this. Which of these 8 items is already somewhere in your house right now, and which one have you walked past 100 times without ever seeing it for what it is? Write it down. Then go to the Dollar Tree aisle in your brain and audit your drawers tonight. And in the next video, we are taking one of these items and building something that saves your family from the silent killer that comes after the blackout. The sanitation collapse, how to turn a plastic bin and a pool noodle into a sealed waste system that prevents cholera, dysentery, and the smell of defeat. I'll see you there.